Okay, well, today is a happy, sad day. I've actually heard that my bike's in. It was a bit of an administrative challenge, but they got through it. And I'm pleased to say that my new Meteor 650, Super Meteor 650, is now in, ready to be taken home. Right, onwards and upwards, as they say. Let's climb aboard the Meteor 350 for the last time. Well, it's been an interesting day, an interesting 24 hours. I popped into Hatfields. I popped into Hatfields, not Hatfields, Halfords, easy for me to say, a couple of days ago, and there was news that my Super Meteor 650 might be arriving. I say might because the actual docking of the shipment didn't actually have any details. And the sales manager was very good. He didn't want to overcommit, but he said as soon as he has his hands on it, he will give me a call and let me know that it's arrived. And sure enough, the phone rang and he shared the delightful news that it had arrived. So yesterday he couldn't commit that it would be ready today or Saturday. It was very unlikely it was going to be today. Today is Friday, by the way, and tomorrow is Saturday. But nonetheless, it was just a waiting game for me. But they had the bike. I was out for a ride earlier today on my little Meteor, and I thought I'd just stop by and say hello. Ah, he said, your bike's ready. Literally, the admin buttons of those in the know had been pressed in the right order, and therefore the bike was ready and okay to be released. At which point I then dashed home, and I've just been on the phone to get some insurance quotes. So the insurance is in place, and the insurance companies with bikes, I don't know if it's just the one I'm with, but it works slightly different to my car. On my car, I'm with a very well-known brand of insurer. I'm not going to advertise insurance companies or mention, but basically, if I say I'm picking up a new car on a day, then my old policy will last up till midnight on that day, and the new car I can drive any time from midnight or just after midnight the previous day, if you know what I mean. So I'll get 24-hour kind of grace to drive both cars. But the bike policy was, what time do you want the policy to get cancelled on your bike and start on the new bike? Well, of course, that was I wasn't really sure. So currently the time is 3:13 in the afternoon, and I took a guess at 4 p.m. So I'm heading towards Hatfields of Crowthorne, and then we can get the paperwork, the payment, and all that good stuff done. And I get a chance to have one last little bimble on my trusty Meteor 350. I'm not sure it'll ever be my last ride ever on a Meteor 350. I may get to ride others. I may one day own one again. Who knows? I will never say never. But I'm on my way there now, and enjoying my last ride, and then heading towards the excitement of picking up the new bike. And that new policy starts at 4 p.m. So all being well, we can get the old policy to end and the new one to start while I'm at Hatfields. And we're all legal and above board and on the road. And whereas I can enjoy this and open it up, I will obviously be taking the 650 very, very carefully. Well, within the tolerances. I'm not quite sure exactly what those are, because you don't have a rev counter, so you have to know. But I kind of know generally. You don't labour an engine. You kind of like have a bit of variety. Stick to the speed limits, I think someone said, and you'll be fine. I won't be going on any motorways for a bit, but I'll be taking it easy, certainly for the first 300 or so miles before its first service. But here we are today. It is a gorgeous sunny day. The Meteor 350 has been just superb, as I've mentioned many times. and it seems fitting to enjoy this final ride and share some of it with you. And as we come around this corner just down here, it's one of my favourite roads in the world, I'd say. It's beautiful. I believe, and I'll need to research the history properly, but I believe that these trees were planted to commemorate the Battle of Waterloo. So they have some historical significance. But that was something that I was told many years ago. I've never actually read it myself, so I'll need to research that. But it is a beautiful avenue, this, with those lovely, glorious trees. If you look carefully in the distance, you can almost see the Wizard of Oz's castle. And, no, I might be exaggerating there. Definitely. Delirious with excitement. But this will definitely be the last time I come down this road on this bike. It was one of the first roads I came up when I first got the bike, actually. I remember one of the earliest pictures I took, we passed it in the corner further back. It's when I turned into the road. I said when I was turning, I just stopped the bike and took a picture in that corner. That was one of the first pictures I ever took of this on the day of ownership. Beautiful, beautiful road. As I pull into Crowthorne High Street on my Meteor 350 for the last time, I remember the first time I pulled away, my son brought me down. He got a video of me riding off in it, actually. But this is it, the end of a journey that's been fantastic to get me back into motorcycling. Thank you, Royal Enfield Meteor 350. My time with you has been glorious. And now for the next phase. And the next stage and the next season in my adventure on biking. Right, I'm switching her off for the last time. Goodbye, old friend. Take care. I hope you're looked after. Well, it might be the end of one chapter, but it's definitely the start of a new one. As we were going through all the paperwork and bits and pieces, I spotted my new Meteor, Super Meteor 650 out the back, so I thought I'd just take a sneak peek. And after all the paperwork was completed, all the I's had been dotted and the T's had been crossed, it was finally time to make my way on my new medicine machine. I can't express how excited I am, but I think anybody who's had a new bike day can probably understand. I'd woken up at 4:30 in the morning worrying. Had I made the right choice? Crazy, I know. But it all suddenly just melted away, any doubt that I'd had. It just felt right. And thanks to this very nice gentleman in a van, despite the busy high street who let me out, I was able to get on my way. And immediately, almost in microseconds, in this moment, right now, as I'm riding,
all of those doubts, any concerns melted away. It just felt so right. That excitement, those thoughts, those reflections, those comparing all those bikes, those test rides, it just suddenly worked and came together. Now, I'd actually got a bit of a route in my head as to what I was going to do for the first ride. And you know what best laid plans are and all that? Well, the roundabout you can see in front of me, there is a huge traffic queue. And I kind of figured if that was the traffic coming down, knowing that road, there would probably be just as much traffic further on. So I decided to take a slight detour and I headed down this road, which is just as lovely. Wasn't quite the route I had in mind, but I was just enjoying the trees reflecting the glorious afternoon sun, that late afternoon sun which just has a slight golden hue. So there was delight of riding my bike for the first time. The sun was reflecting off the green and the early spring of the trees and the blue sky. It just seemed like an absolutely glorious setting. Now, as I got further down this road, I actually had another route in mind, but I thought, actually, it's probably just going to end up with just as much traffic as I'd just seen going the other way. So I had another change of plan, and so I decided to turn left at the next roundabout. There was this instant familiarity with the controls, the indicators, the clutch, the accelerator, brakes. Being familiar with the Royal Enfield was very helpful, but of course the feet were slightly further forward, so as I slowed down at that last roundabout, you know, it was just finding your feet again. It was never a problem, it's just being more mindfully aware than just instinctively aware. The muscle memory hadn't quite kicked in as yet. Now, as I approached this next roundabout, the third roundabout in my journey, I kind of figured I'd go straight on, because straight on is a nice route and it heads down to some more nice routes and it takes me a different way, not perhaps where I was planning to go. But as I approached this roundabout, I saw once again that not only was the sun shining its golden hue on a Friday afternoon, but many people were also coming home from work. So once again I changed direction. Now, you can probably do the math by now that if you turn left, left and left again, you're almost completing the square, and in fact I am actually heading back in the direction towards Hatfield. So I think it was at this point I realised that maybe a ride out was not on the cards today. It's okay, I was quite happy, I had my bike, I was super happy, super delighted, super pleased. I was enjoying this short ride, and I think it was time to perhaps just accept that a Friday afternoon with people coming home on a sunny day, the roads were going to be very busy. So I decided that it was time to head in the general direction of home. However, on this day zero, all was not quite finished yet. There was still a couple more tasks that I wanted to undertake, and of course, apart from riding our bike for the first time, and I am delighted to be able to share with you my first moments on this motorcycle, and they'll only be the first moments once, and these are they. But of course, the other thing that was almost ritualistic for my second Royal Enfield was to take some day one photos. You can see the traffic queuing up the other way to where I was going, so I've managed to avoid that. And here we are going back down that road that I drove in the opposite direction earlier as I was taking my Meteor 350 towards Hatfield. The sun just captured perfectly between the trees there, looking quite majestic. Now, if you remember earlier, I said that as I turned into this road, I took my first photos of my Meteor 350 down this road. It was a spur of the moment thing 3 years ago. But today, I kind of figured, actually, it was nice that I did it last time, so why don't I do it again? So I decided to pull over and to just pull into the side of the corner, hopefully trying to capture this road behind me, and to take some, to take my first photos of this Royal Enfield. Still a little bit of getting used to, not just the feet forward, but obviously where the stand is, because it's also very new. And did you notice my hands there? Just being extra cautious that it had actually, it was standing upright of its own accord. So there we are. There's the first full shots of my Meteor 350 in the afternoon sun in this March of 2025. And here is my first photo. And here is my second photo. So having stopped for the first time, there's something, I can't put this into words, something intangible to explain, but having stopped and taken the pictures and then getting back on your own new bike and starting it again and putting it into gear and driving off, it just felt super exciting. It really was. But I'm taking it very easy, as you probably noticed. First of all, there's not really the space to open it up. Secondly, the traffic. But more importantly, these first 300 miles are going to be the most precious, as I make sure that I give it every chance of being the best bike it can possibly be for the long term. And I really do plan to keep this for the long term. That's the plan. I mean, I never say never, but that's my intention, certainly for now. So having taken those first couple of photos, there was one more stop that I wanted to make and just take a few more pictures which were kind of reminiscent of where I took the photos of my Meteor 350 when I picked that up for the first time. Now, when I took the photos of the Meteor 350, this was a very different time of day. It was actually in May that I collected it, 14th of May 2022, and the sun was shining on the bike, so it reflected much better, and it looked obviously a little bit shinier. So I was in the shade mostly with this, but it was still nice to capture those day one photos. Now I've decided that it's time to not attempt any more rides, just to head home and enjoy the evening and get ready for tomorrow. Now, as I left that doorway on the right, I remember taking a picture of my Meteor 350 on that day as well. Outside that door you can see the sun shining rather than the shade there is today, but on this occasion I decided we don't need to go too far with the rituals, so I just decided to head home, which is what I'm doing now. Well, it's been nice to share these first few moments with you on the 650, but that's not the end of the video, because tomorrow morning when I wake up I will be heading towards Pathfinders Cafe at Blackbush with the Royal Enfield Riders Club of Europe. All are welcome, by the way. The only membership card you need is a Royal Enfield. Always welcome to join us and tag along if you live in the Berkshire, Surrey, Hampshire area. Although it's called Berkshire, we kind of meet on that border, so it's all pretty close, not far from Hatfields or Crowthorne. And it's great to catch up and chat with the guys. So I thought I'd just head home, maybe open something cold to celebrate my new bike, enjoy the evening, relax, and get ready for an early start so I can catch up with all my Royal Enfield friends and share in my new vehicle, which I knew they'd be excited as I was to share with me, just as we are for each other. So yep, I think that's enough for the first few moments for today, and then we'll come back and I'll share with you what happens on day one. So that's the end of day 0. So I arrived at Blackbush Airport on day 1, and of course the obligatory photo. And here I am with some of my fellow Royal Enfield friends, as they share and we talk about the bike. And of course, when we get together, guess what we do? We love talking about bikes, what we've done, what we're doing, what we're about. And here's just a small selection of some of the riders that turned up on that particular Saturday morning. All subtle modifications, and we're genuinely interested in what the others have done. It gives us ideas and we're happy to share with them. There's my Meteor 650 next to a stunning GT. And here I am, day 1, and heading out on my own. Because I'm running it in, I didn't really want to go with anyone else. I wanted to take it super slow, take it super easy, something in the manual about not riding for more than an hour, giving it a rest. So I really wanted to go at my own pace. And not to forget, I also wanted to share a little bit of what I was feeling at the time and talk to camera, which I'll do in a moment. But for the moment, I'm just going to share with you okay, I picked it up yesterday, so this is day one of actual ownership. A little bit of some of the glorious countryside that I enjoyed as I rode this new Super Meteor 650. Just taking in the views, just enjoying the blue sky. As you can see, look, there's not a cloud in the sky. And the sun is just beating down beautifully, but not too warm. It was just the perfect day to take my Meteor 650 out for the first time. So by now I'd been riding for a fair few miles and thoroughly enjoyed those twists and turns, and much to my delight it handled much better than I expected. I thought I was going to have to compensate far more having a larger front wheel and the further out angle, knowing it wouldn't handle as sharp as a shotgun, say for example, but not really sure what I was expecting, but absolutely no problem at all. Those bends, those twists, thoroughly enjoyable. So I thought I'd just stop here in this lovely churchyard I happened upon by accident and just do a little talking to camera. Of course, forgetting that sometimes a Royal Enfield attracts a lot of attention. So if you're expecting to spend a little quiet time, well, let me show you what happened. Well, hello. It's sure is a lovely, beautiful, glorious day today in the Hampshire countryside. The sun is shining. The blue sky is just gorgeous, and the song of the birds is absolutely stunning. But as if that wasn't enough, I've just actually left the Royal Enfield Riders Club for Berkshire to come out for a ride on my own, because my new Super Meteor 650 is here. I am now the proud owner of said Meteor 350. Oh man, you know, I've not done many miles. I'm about 15 now, so we're talking really low mileage. I don't know if you ever get this, but when you spend a lot of money on something, you kind of think to yourself, have I done the right thing here? Some people don't do that. I'm just one of these people that just overthinks it. And I woke up at 4:30 in the morning yesterday. Oh, there's people coming. I've got to stop. Yes, I was a little nervous about speaking to myself in the middle of a car park with strangers just about to walk by. But I just thought to myself, well, I'll just chill out, pretend that I wasn't talking to myself at all and just enjoying the sky and the scenery with my motorbike parked right in the middle of the car park. I thought they'd wander through and then I'd carry on. But, well, I forget I'm riding a Royal Enfield. I mean, who doesn't want to speak about these bikes? So these lovely ladies just stopped by and started asking me about it. And of course, being my brand new exciting bike, I was only too happy to tell them all about it. So yeah, so we ended up having a little chat. And the dog was lovely too. The dog was coming to say hello. So I thought, well, why not just say hello to the dog? So yeah, I was not alone for very long. So this is the second time I've stopped with the bike. The first time was obviously at the cafe, the meeting this morning, and you know, I got to meet all my friends from the Riders Club of Europe from Berkshire, and they were interested. And this is only the second time I've stopped in the middle of nowhere next to a lovely old church, and immediately people come up for that good old conversation. That's the magic of motorcycling and classic motorcycling. People just feel warmed by the look of a classic styled bike, I think. Now, I know some people term this as a cruiser, and you've got all sorts of names and terms. I've mentioned before, I think they're a bit restrictive. I think sometimes when we title things and put them into brackets, but it's funny, isn't it, how people can just feel they can approach you because the bike just looks friendly. And anyway, as I thought that that was that, then one of them said, "Oh, would you like me to take a photo of you?" So I decided to say, yeah, I'd love to. So bless them, they put down the bag, one of them did, and took hold of my camera, and I've now got my first photo of me with my beloved Super Meteor 650 standing in front of it. They took a couple of lovely photos, which I really appreciate. And what was funny is not only was I having nice photos taken, thinking that was it, then they started instructing me and telling me, actually, could you stand behind the bike, please? So under their instructions, I then stood behind the bike, just obviously doing as I was told. But it was lovely. It was really nice to meet these lovely people, have a good chat and a bit of a laugh. I think that could be a sign of things to come. What this bike is all about. It's about friends, it's about meeting people, it's about sometimes getting away from the normalities of everyday life. And these medicine machines, there's something magic about them. And even in the early stages of my, at this point, what was I say, 15-mile Super Meteor 650, things are looking great. So yeah, that was a great stop. But anyway, let's get back to me chatting in front of the camera to share with you what I immediately was thinking in my excited state, having just ridden the bike for not very many miles so far. Okay, I'm back. I'm not sure if I'm going to edit that out or edit that in. But there were some people coming to the bike, and I thought, oh, I better stop and better not start talking to myself. Anyway, they stopped and we've just had a really long, lovely chat about the church, about the area, about the bike. So it seems to be that lots of people are loving it already, not just me. Anyway, I just wanted to just quickly stop and just talk you through what I love about this bike. There's certain things that I've already found that I particularly enjoy. And there's a few details. I mean, the one accessory I've added, as you can see, is my trusty Trip Machine bag, which I absolutely love. It's definitely kind of like looking a bit more worn in now, but that is something that sticks to the tank and is absolutely rock solid. And I think looks pretty good as well. I'm quite pleased with that. But the actual bike, I mean, the metal mud guards, all of these, just that metal, that solidity about the bike just makes you feel like you're riding something with some real prowess. I kind of couldn't tell you what it is that I liked about this bike, but I'm beginning to understand it. I saw the top of the line ones, and that had the touring seats originally. They'd removed them and they added in this 2-seat configuration. Now, I know this is just stock and probably considered the lowest end, but there's something about that look that really works for me. I really like that. A couple of the things I'm thinking of doing to the bike is potentially removing the back seat, because I think single seat is just a nice look. And I might get some sort of rack on the back. I'm not sure if the Royal Enfield one is going to be sufficient. It looks good, but I actually, in terms of luggage, I don't want to add on panniers. I might change my mind, so forgive me, but I'm thinking of a big roll, because I think that's a real look for the classic bike. Just a roll, like a 30, 50 litre roll, if I go away anywhere. And then when you take the roll off, of course, it looks like a motorbike. I don't really want the panniers just on all the time. If in a future video you find me fitting nice Trip Machine or nice panniers, then obviously I'll eat my words, but that's just where I am at the moment. So the single seat, maybe a kind of a rack or something, and then a roll if ever I go away, maybe not adding panniers at the moment, and potentially bar end mirrors. But I've left these kind of factory mirrors on because I thought, I'll just see what they're like. You never know, I might actually like them. The green, the gold stripe and the black, that just looks absolutely beautiful. I really do think that's a stunning look. The dials at the front, I think I talked about in a previous video, don't really excite me, but I've noticed that they are slightly more modern than my Meteor 350 were. They just look a little bit different, so I'm not going to worry about those. Little details and little touches that I've begun to notice, that on the tank you've got these metal badges, and I noticed that on this one it seems to have just a touch of gold at the top and the bottom, which is unusual because I think those are on the top of the line, but this isn't the top of the line, this is kind of midway. It seems to be, this is a little bit unique, this interstellar green, because it has that nice touch, which is kind of, that little gold on that Royal Enfield. I think that looks beautiful. And with the wing and that metal stuck on the tank, I just think, the metallic green, the gold, the black and the metal, it just looks absolutely gorgeous. And of course, some of you may know this and be familiar, but it's all new to me. I'm getting used to it. Around the handlebar area, the controls, this, I don't know what it is, brush steel, is that? Just, it's
it's clearly it's a metal, but it's not finished in shiny, which shiny looked lovely, but this can just take a few fingerprints and not really show it. And I just think it looks really classy. And of course you can see the shower fork tops there, which is kind of quite nice too. So yeah, I am very, very happy, as you can probably tell, with my new gorgeous Super Meteor 650. Now, as I say, I'm only low mileages in at the moment, but it's certainly going to be an exciting time as I start to get to know the bike, as the bike starts to get to know me, as I start to adjust to it. I'm going to spend a bit of time riding the bike, not really planning to make too many videos at the moment. I just want to enjoy it for a little while and see where that takes us. But yes, so just a quick hello to my new Super Meteor 650. Yeah, I look forward to catching up with you all soon and sharing a little bit more of my adventures and what I think of it, what I like about it, is if there's anything I might change. But there we go. So super excited that I finally managed to get to collect and have now ridden my Super Meteor 650. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm going to get back on the bike and I'm going to cruise around the roads and just enjoy the view. Thanks for joining me. Catch up with you soon.
Well, thank you for joining me on the ride today. I really appreciate you watching. It's very special sharing this passion of mine. I hope you enjoyed as I rode my beloved Meteor 350 for the last time, and that was very sad. It was a sad goodbye, but there was also a happy hello as I took on board and picked up the first ride, my new Super Meteor 650, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun together. I really do. Something I want to just remind folks who are tuning in, I would never claim or profess to be anything other than just a keen motorcyclist. There really are much better channels out there that talk about the products, motorcycles, equipment, accessories, riding, and have a lot more to offer. I come at this purely from a motorcyclist point of view, who's learning about biking, who's learning about bikes. As I mentioned, I think in a few videos ago, I'm really just looking for my next ride when I was doing all the test rides, not looking to become some journalistic YouTuber who was going to give some impartial, accurate and helpful advice. Just really my own personal thoughts. So that's all they are. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, and if you've enjoyed my completely subjective point of views about all these bikes, and if you want to stick around, there's going to be some reviews of accessories. I've actually had my first accessory for this bike come through. Don't expect anything too professional, mind, just a bit of fun, but I will give you my honest thoughts on them. Then do feel free and consider subscribing, with all the caveats that I've just put before me. If you like this video and you enjoyed joining me for the ride today, then I'd love to see that like. Yeah, if you are free to maybe join me in future videos, then it will be absolutely wonderful to have you along for the ride. The formats will vary. Sometimes I'll just go out for a ride, talk to subjects. Sometimes I'll review equipment. There's still a couple of bikes that I quite fancy riding. I'm not looking at changing or buying another one for a while, but just out of personal interest, and Hatfields of Crowthorne are very happily going to let me ride the bike, so they've certainly indicated they would. Whether they change their mind or not, I don't know. No, I'm sure they won't. I will add, I have absolutely nothing to do with Hatfields. I'm not affiliated with them, I'm not sponsored by them. I am just another one of their many, many happy customers, and I'm delighted to be a customer because they really do look after me. But this video is completely off my own back, and it's something that I just enjoy doing. Anyway, I think that's all for me today. So if you want to hear more, then please do feel free to join me in future videos with me, musician on a motorbike.